People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in. Unfamiliar settings, as you know. Lunch break, found an alleyway. Doesn't smell as good as it looks, people, but I'm sure Arsenal fans at this point, we're just pleading for anybody to sign. I mean, Gary Cahill for a free transfer might not be that bad now, such as my desperation. Banner aside, I'm sure you're all looking in regards to the transfer news and things, and I'm not here to say these things are going to happen and not happen and this and that. I just like to speak about them. Probably on a more positive note, we'll never know how far or close we are to signing him, but the Saliba saga continues. It intensified when it looked like we finally got over the line with Saliba, and it looked like a case of just dotting I's, crossing the T's, and looked like him and Turney, to be honest, at one point looked like mere formalities, if I'm honest. We know allegedly Spurs came in last Friday, Thursday, over the weekend. We're in talks for him, came and kind of blew our offer out of the water. Allegedly, we've matched it. We've matched whatever offer Spurs are out there trying to give for Saliba to Saint Etienne. It remains to be seen, actually, if we're going to actually change our minds and say, yo, if we're going to pay all this money, he might as well come now. I don't think anything will change in that front, but you never know. So allegedly, it's down to the player. He prefers Arsenal, but again, people, unless he's holding up the Arsenal shirt, you see official confirmation on the website, anything goes. Until you sign someone, people can say anything. Saint Etienne, as you could probably expect, they're going to run up the bids. I mean, they would clearly want a bidding war. They more or less, from the tone of some of the articles you're reading, it's like they'll let the decision lie with Saliba, but also they're going to delay making a decision in the hope of getting better offers. So what does that tell you, people? And there's nothing wrong with that. From an Arsenal perspective, of course, it's frustrating, but it's to be expected. If you've got a club, if you're like Saint Etienne and you've got a prime asset, a young French player in today's climate where they're like gold dust, essentially, you're within your rights to drum up prices and delay as much as you want. From an Arsenal perspective, of course, it's frustrating. Let's just get it done. Moving on to Hakim Ziyech, allegedly you saw David Ornstein say that we looked at the player, we assessed the player, and he's not what we want. Personally, I don't see how he's not what we want, because he could play out wide and obviously he'll excel in a sort of central creative role. And for the money that they're looking, what, €30 maybe altogether is the latest reports. For me, that's a no-brainer, especially if we've got 70 million for Zaha. I'm happy either way with Zaha. I don't think that's happening. You must can find that for him, especially because definitely the last 2, maybe 3 years, definitely 2 years in particular, he's really gone up a level. He isn't no fresh-faced youngster. He's been on the scene for a while, but the last 2 or 3 years, like I said, he's gone up to a different level. He's a lovely player. He can score goals, as you lot know. He's great in the final third. He's got wonderful technical abilities. Didn't have the best African Cup of Nations, if I remember correctly, but that's all irrelevant to us, people. Mark Overmars, this seems like he's open to selling him and getting the things going. He said, former Gooner, I believe Hakim Ziyech is better than Mesut Ozil. I would advise Arsenal to sell Ozil and buy Ziyech for half the money, but they didn't listen to me. Now there's a good chance Hakim will stay at Ajax for another season. See, maybe he did try to do us a favour, try to repay the Arsenal fan base and the Arsenal family and whatnot. But I mean, if the fans can see that we can use him, if the player said he'd be open, as David Ornstein said, would be open to training us, his chairman clearly wants to sell him, whether it's this season or not, and he's saying, it's all there for us. And like, yeah, man, how can we turn him down? Again, if I don't know, maybe there's some concerns that we don't know, that medical team or someone's assessed, but for me, I can't understand having 70 million for Zaha but not 30 odd for Hakim Ziyech. It doesn't make no sense. Like, it really doesn't make sense. Again, Zaha and him are not the same player, but they can play in the same roles more or less. Of course, you know, Zaha's not exactly a 10, but last season for Crystal Palace, he excelled at times as a second striker. When I say that creative role, that's what I mean, people, that central sort of role. I feel Hakim Ziyech would be a lovely addition to our side, man. He'd complement us well, but at the end of the day, who knows? Emre might have assessed him and he doesn't want him, and if he doesn't want him, on one hand, baffle him, but on the other hand, if you don't want him, you don't want him, people. You've seen us also linked with Ruben Dias, the Benfica centre-half. Personally, people, I'd love him to join us. I'd love him to come to the club, but I can't see that as feasible because he's got a lot of potential. Whether he hits it or not is another matter. But with that being said, you're probably looking at 50 million for him. Has he capped? I swear he's captained Benfica a couple of times. Again, it might not be nothing more than paper talk, but because of his age and whatnot, it'd be a good signing. But yeah, man. Yeah, there's no way. No matter, even if our budget is way more than the board expect us to have, not the board, the paper is saying that we have on board. how can you spend 50 million on the centre half? Where are we going to find 50 million on the centre half, 70 million on Zaha, and still pay 30 million on Saliba, who's not going to be here till next year? Of course, Arsenal probably do have the finances to do it, but seeing and doing it is a different thing. I don't feel I'm missing anything else out, people. Yeah, oh, we are actually. Nothing more on the Everton front more than my last video. Apparently we're pushing, but Guillermo are open to more offers, and technically Arsenal haven't placed an official bid. The article spoke of PSG and Bayern Munich being interested. Again, people being interested, people asking questions, and official bids are two different things. All clubs are interested in all players, people. Whether they make a bid is a different thing. Look at Fekir, allegedly he's joining Betis. I would love him at this club, but and you saw Liverpool last season, and you've heard Chelsea want him and Arsenal want him. Teams being interested to official offers are two different things, people. So we'll never know. In regards to the Dani Ceballos conclusion, Marca are reporting that he's going to stay. He's going to stay at Real Madrid. They deem him. Well, they keep changing their minds based on reports, but they deem him good enough to move forward with within the squad. From an Arsenal and Spurs fans' perspective, probably a kick in the teeth, because both clubs were linked with the player, whether on loan or in a permanent. You actually saw Arsenal already in a 45 million bid for him, so we'll never know. In loan capacity, I guess it would have been good for him short term to come to either club, build his confidence. Obviously, Spurs presents him with Champions League football. Arsenal presents him with first team football, playing football all the time, and obviously Emre with the Spanish connections and things like that. Not too sure, but surely Spurs have had to have floated the idea of Eriksen in a swap deal for Ceballos, not to talk about Spurs, but potentially. It's a weird one, people, really and truly, because the transfer market, what actually happens and what's spoken about are two different things. I really hope Arsenal get a move on in regards to the business. Again, I don't know what the club's planning, but the more we go on in the season, people, the longer it goes, the longer we kind of have to ask ourselves what's going on here, really and truly, because the only thing that's going to matter is come the window shuts and whatnot, who we have available to play against Newcastle away from home. If I don't see a new centre-half, boy, left back, I know we're linked with Tierney, but would he even be fit for the Newcastle game? Because he's technically injured, not sure on his recovery rate and things like that. We know we need him going forward, but I'm pretty sure by now you lot get the point I'm trying to make. But there's really no reason to make this vid. You lot know I have an unhealthy obsession with speaking to you guys. So yeah, people, apologies for shaking the screen and all these things. It's hard to hold this, but for now, people, DG.